Hey there, Chris. You're here at Microsoft to speak to employees. Before you get on stage, we want to talk to you a little bit about the work you do and what inspires you.
Sure.
So we talk at Microsoft with our employees about purpose-driven work. How do you think about your purpose and the work you do?
I think of the work or the purpose of it primarily in journalistic terms and in civic terms. So being truthful, being unflinching, sort of watering the garden of democracy, right? Cultivating a vibrant civic culture, telling good stories, keeping people's attention, speaking truth to power, which is a cliche, but sort of an important one. You know, there's sort of always a balance between the commercial imperative and the journalistic one. So we try to sort of find that balance and be animated by what we think the work is doing for the general democratic health of the country.
So you spoke a little bit about speaking truth to power. One of the things that we encourage our employees to take risks. So what's a time you took a risk, maybe you failed, and what did you learn?
When we launched the show in April of 2013, we took a lot of risks and we failed a lot. Failed a tremendous amount. I have the scars to show for it. You know, it's funny. I think I learned a lot about, through this sort of iterative process of taking risks and failing, I learned a lot about modulating these competing imperatives between storytelling, journalism, the medium of television, the imperative to grab people's attention. And I think I wouldn't have gotten to where I am now if I hadn't made all those mistakes along the way. And I'm sort of, in some ways, one of the other threats, right, as you ascend over a learning curve in any kind of undertaking is that you start to get less risk averse as you feel like you have it figured out. And that's something I'm worried about now, where I feel like we've assembled a lot of knowledge about, from a technical perspective, like how the show works and how keeping an audience works. And I worry that that locks you in increasingly because you don't want to go back to the bad old days.
At Microsoft, we believe in leadership at all levels. Even the most junior employee can be a leader. How do you think about leadership, especially as somebody who made it big at a relatively young age?
I had a very strange trajectory because for a lot of the early parts of my career, I was essentially operating in a kind of solo. I was a freelance writer, or I was a staff writer with a tremendous degree of autonomy, or I was living in Chicago for a long period. And so I had this period of my life from basically around 22 to 29 where I was kind of on my own. And that can be really daunting. But I think it cultivated a sense of that I should say what I think and I should fight for mine. I think that actually was really useful for me because I think it cultivated a sort of sense of independence that helped with sort of later leadership when I was directing something bigger than just me and my keyboard.
Obviously, you have a pretty sweet gig at MSNBC, but let's say tomorrow you came to work for Microsoft. What would you want to work on, right? In an imaginary world, what do you think you'd want to work on and what would you want your title to be?
God, that's funny. Well, I would say that there's a period in my life when I learned to code and did a lot of coding.
Oh, nice.
Actually think it was a really crucial part of my intellectual development.
Yeah.
So, and I missed that. In fact, I was just up the other night. I was up the other night, like scanning through like Python kits to like buy my, like as a hobby, I was gonna like buy myself one. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it would probably have to do something around, like self-driving cars and automation and the sort of emerging world. I find that stuff really fascinating.
Very cool.
I'm really interested in grids and how grids function and getting them to be more efficient and sort of distributed power. So something in the world of kind of inventing the future of distributed power and automation and transportation.
See, we didn't even know Chris Hayes knew how to code. That's awesome.
Well, it's been a while. I don't think anyone would. I don't think I'm going to be helping anyone.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Chris, and taking the time to come speak with us at Microsoft.
All right, thanks a lot.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, if you guys are in the market for a really sweet Tetris coded in Pascal, I could help you out.